Tonight, I want to leave you, though, with a sad story. Just a day after his Easter address, the Vatican announced the death of Pope Francis on Easter Monday. Pope Francis was popularly known as the People's Pope, the Pope of the poor, who called on the church to work for the poor above all else. He was 88 and leaves behind a legacy of compassion that will serve the church rather well in the years ahead. Thanks for watching. Stay well, stay safe. Good night, Shubhratri, Jai Hind, Namaskar.
Carissimi fratelli et sorelle.
Dear brothers and sisters, with deep sorrow I must announce the death of our Holy Father Francis. At 7:35 this morning, the Bishop of Rome, Francis, returned to the house of the Father.
The bells tolled at St. Peter's Basilica in the Vatican hours after the announcement of the death of Pope Francis. So did in Notre Dame Church. Faithfuls started to congregate to mourn the first Latin American Pope, who identified himself as the Pope of the poor.
It is a great disappointment, a great loss. A man who has innovated the church and a man who has left a great mark. And his absence, causes great pain.
Well, I don't live in Rome. I live in Milan, and I'm here for Easter. And I find it very significant that the Pope has died during Easter, or the Easter weekend. I'm from Argentina. The Pope is Argentinian, so it has quite a bit of significance for us.
It is a very sad news, a great loss for the church and for the whole world. A Pope who worked so hard for peace and for the good of all. Let us all pray for him.
He was the first Latin American pontiff who charmed the world with his humble style and concern for the poor. Pope Francis, in the 12 years of his service, also alienated conservatives with critics of capitalism and climate change. He was the Pope who made an unscheduled stop to pray at the wall separating Israel from the West Bank town of Bethlehem in a show of support for the Palestinian cause. Within weeks, on June 8, 2014, Pope Francis hosted Israeli and Palestinian presidents for peace prayers in the Vatican gardens. A month later, he apologized in Bolivia for the sins and crimes of the Catholic Church against indigenous peoples during the colonial era conquest of the Americas. He is the Pope who prayed for dead migrants in the US-Mexico border in 2016 and called out the then presidential candidate Donald Trump as not a Christian for wanting to build a border wall. Pope Francis was the pontiff who never shied away from criticism or apologizing when proven wrong. He first accused the Chilean sex abuse victims of slander in his visit in January 2018. But within months, ordered Vatican investigation and did not hesitate to apologize and admit grave error and secured resignation of Chilean bishops. He raised his voice for the refugees and tried to clean the clergy of sexual abuse charges with punitive actions.
He's a beacon of humanity for everyone, and especially for Argentina. I hope we take on board this message and we come together as a people and stop fighting so much.
Condolences poured in from across the world as leaders of different faiths all coming together to mourn the man who was a living symbol of simplicity. Pope Francis has always struggled with pulmonary disease before succumbing to it at the age of 88.